Welcome to another AlertFind training session. In today's session, we'll be taking a look at three new modules of the user interface. Manage Library, where you will be able to create and manage templates. The Alert Console, which is used to execute templates that have already been created, and Groups, which are different types of distribution lists that can be created in AlertFind. Let's begin with how to create a template and how to manage that template in the Manage Library section. The first way you can create a template is by creating it from a communication that you have already executed. To create a template from a notification that you have already sent out, go to the Set Notifications section found here under Notifications. Search for the communication that you have already executed and double-click into the name of the communication that you wish to create as a template. In this case, let's create a template based on this earthquake warning. Once the new window pops up, you would need to click on this section here that says Save as a Notification Template on the top left corner. When you click on that button, you will be directed to a new window that will allow you to create a template based on the communication that you have previously sent out. As you can see, the To field here has already been preset to the communication that you sent out before, as well as the subject line, the content, and all of the different responses that you set up for that particular communication. Do remember that this template would also be created with the same advanced option settings and any attachments or escalation overrides that you had created in the original notification that was already sent out. The first thing that you would need to do is to change the name of the template to make sure it has a meaningful name according to the type of communication that you're sending out. In this case, we're going to call it Earthquake Warning 2. Therefore, I'm going to go ahead and change the name. The next section that you would need to set is the icon. When you click on the icon section, found here on the top left corner, you will be able to choose the icon and the color scheme for this particular template. These are the different colors that are available to you. Since this is a national disaster, I'll choose green. And now we search down with all the different icon options that you have, and we will search for the earthquake one. We have two different earthquake ones. I'll choose this one. Note that you are not able to import your own icon figures or colors, but you do have a large selection from which you can choose from. Another section that you can fill out is the description, found here. The description will help you identify the template or the content of the template easily. This is not a mandatory field, and you could leave it blank if you wish. Next section to fill out is the Send All Notifications. If you want to be able to send this notification using the hotline, do click on Send All Notifications and then proceed to either provide a quick launch ID typed in through the keyboard, or you can create on Generate. If you do enter one manually, remember that it has to be a unique ID for this particular notification or template. Each template that you create will need to have a unique ID, since when you dial into the hotline and want to execute the template, the hotline system will ask you for the quick launch ID of the template that you wish to execute. We do recommend that you always click on Auto Generate the unique ID to allow the system to go through all of the existing templates, broadcast groups, escalation groups, and smart groups to identify IDs that are already being used and make sure that there are no duplicates. Next, we would need to verify that the To field here, subject line, escalation override, content, responses, and any other advanced options are all correctly set for the template. Once you are sure that all the information is correctly filled out, then you will click on Save down at the bottom left corner. After you click on Save, if we go to the Manage Library section, we'll see the template we just created has been added, as well as in the alert console. In this case, do remember that it was called Earthquake Warning 2. There it is. If I come up to the alert console, I will see that I have Earthquake Warning 2 right here. It is important that the name of your template is also unique. And you can also add a description in order to quickly identify them. Templates can be executed from the Alert console when you are logged in as an admin in the user interface, using the AlertFind app or using the hotline number. If you need to make any modifications to an existing template, you will need to go to the Manage Library section on the left menu, search for the template name that you wish to modify, and double-click into the name. This will open up a new window where you can modify all of the different aspects of this or sections of the template. The process of creating a template for a notification has already been executed is quick and easy. Now, let's proceed to take an in-depth look at other things that you can do in the Manage Library section. With this button, Edit, you can edit an existing template. To do so, all you would need to do is choose the template that you wish to edit. By clicking on the name of the template, you will notice that the vertical line to the left of the name shows up, and then you would click on Edit. Another action that you can do to an existing template is to delete one that you no longer want. In this instance, let's say that I no longer want this Earthquake 2 template that I just created. I would highlight it by clicking on the name and then click on Delete. The system will ask you if you are sure that you want to delete it. You would click on OK, and the template will be deleted from your list. You will also get this section over here, a little note saying that the template was deleted successfully. The next thing that you could do for a template that has already been created is to run a report by clicking on the report section here. You have two different types of reports, detailed report and list summary report. Again, all you would need to do is to make sure to highlight the template that you want the report run to, and then click on one of those two options. Another action that you can do in the Manage Library is to open the template in the Alert console in case you wish to go ahead and execute that template. This button shows subteams will allow you to see exactly which teams a specific template is a member of. The next button is the More. When you click on it, you will be able to clone a specific template to a different team that you have created. For instance, let's say that I wish to make sure that this corporate announcement template is a part of a different team that I have just created. I would highlight the name, corporate announcement, click on More, and then click on Clone to Teams. Here, I'm going to get a list of all of the different teams that I have already created, and I will be able to choose which team I want to clone this template to. Let's say I want to clone it to United States number 2. I will click on that team, and then click on Clone. As soon as this is completed, I would also get a note up here letting me know that the task was completed. And when we come over to the Teams section in the user interface down here, and I go to that specific team, I will be able to see that the new template that I have created is available in the Manage Library section. There it is. Now let's see another action that you can definitely do from the Manage Library section, which is to create a new notification template from scratch. You would click on New, and you will be directed to a new window with all the different settings that you will need to preset to have the template ready for execution. For this training session, let's create another earthquake warning. In the name, let's put earthquake warning. I'm going to copy paste in this case, and I'll add a 5 just to make sure that the name is unique. Next, you can add the description that best describes the purpose of this template. Since it is not a mandatory field, you can leave it blank if you wish to. Always remember that you should click on Enable Editing. What that will allow you to do is that when you execute the template from the Alert console, it will let you modify the to-field subject line content before you execute. Another thing that you would want to do is to click on Send All Notifications if you expect to be executing this communication or this template from our hotline. Do remember to either input a quick launch ID, a unique ID here by typing it in like this, or, which is what we always recommend, is that you click on Generate. When you click on Generate, the system will automatically search for any existing unique IDs and make sure that the one that is assigned for this new template is in fact unique and is not conflicting with any other templates, smart groups, broadcast groups, or escalation groups that you have created in the system. You would then need to choose your color scheme as well as an icon in this section over here. When we click into that, you will have an option of choosing from all of these different colors. In this case, let's choose green since it's a national disaster. We go down the drop-down menu and look for the icon that best describes the content that we'll be sending out. In this case, we'll choose this earthquake icon right here. Once you fill out the top section of the template creation window, you would proceed to complete the rest of the template settings, following the same process that we indicated in our first training video, how to create a communication from scratch, within the video called Training Session Number 1. In that video, we explain how to set the to-field, the subject line, the message, and the responses, as well as all of the additional advanced options that you would like to include. Please do refer to that training video if you need a refresher on how to populate these sections. The to-field, subject line, content, responses, as well as the escalation override and any other advanced options that you would like to preset for this particular template. Now let's quickly fill out the to-field with the broadcast group called All. We would click on Select, search for broadcast group. Here's the All broadcast group. We would click on the plus sign, and now we have added the broadcast group called All. We would then click on Save. Now for the subject line, I will go ahead and put in Training Test. Again, I'm copy pasting from an existing document that I have. I will also add the message, just as a training test. Now do remember that there are 3 ways in which you can add a message. You can type it in, you can click on Call to Record if you wish to provide an audio file, or if you have already created your audio file, then you would be able to upload the audio using the Upload Audio button. For this training purposes, I have added Training Test Earthquake Warning, and I will also add there is an earthquake warning in effect. Please take precautions and follow instructions from your local authorities. The next section that you would need to fill out is the responses. Since this is an announcement, you're basically letting all your employees know that an earthquake warning has been put in place in their area, and therefore the response that you will be wanting back with will be a message received confirmation. And we have added here, I confirm that I have received this message as the possible response. Once you have preset all of these different sections for the communication, you will click on the Save button found in the left corner here. As soon as you do this, under Manage Library in the left menu bar, you will see the new template that has been created. And if you come over to the Alert console, you will notice the new template is right there where you will be able to execute it in a quick and easy manner. Now let's take a look at other actions that you can complete regarding templates. When you have a template that has already been created and you would like to make modifications to it, there are 2 simple ways in which you can do that. Highlighting the template that you want to modify and clicking on the button, the Edit button on the upper left side, or you can double click on the name of the template that you want to modify. Let's say that I want to modify the earthquake warning number 5 template that we have just created. In this case, I'm going to double click into the earthquake warning template name. As you can see, we have a new unique launch ID that has been generated by the system. I can now proceed to make any modifications to the to field, subject line, content, responses, or any other advanced options that I want to preset for this template. Once I have made all of my edits required, I would click on Save again. All of those edits would take effect on the template. As you can see, creating a template from either an existing communication that you have already executed or creating it from scratch in the Manage Library section is a really quick and easy process for you to do. If you have any questions regarding how to create or edit templates, do reach out to your customer success manager, who would be able to provide you with further information. Also, it is important to remember that if you have any issues filling out the different sections of the communication, please refer to our training session number 1 video, where it will be explained in more detail. Now let's proceed to take a look at how to execute a communication template that has already been created in the Alert Console. When we want to execute a template, we would come to the Alert Console on the left menu bar in the user interface under the Launch Center, where you can access the list of all of the different templates that have been created for your company. As you can see, you have a list of all of the different icons that you have chosen with all the different color schemes. And that is the importance of choosing an icon and a color scheme, as well as the name that best reflects the content that you're sending out, so that you can easily identify the template that you wish to execute here in the Alert Console. The template called Compose, the first on the left menu here, will allow you to quickly create a communication from scratch through the Alert Console. For this training, we want to execute the template called Earthquake Warning 5, this one. We would search through the icons, look for the one that we wish to execute, identify it, and then double click into it. Now you are directed to this new window where you will only be able to modify the to field, the subject line, and the content. Once you have completed any modifications, we would be able to click on Send All Notifications to execute the communication found here. Now do remember that you will not be able to modify any advanced options that you have preset or your responses. If you try to modify the responses, for instance, as you can see here, the system will not allow us to do so. If you do need to make any modifications to any of those additional settings, you will need to cancel out of this window, go back to the Manage Library section on the left navigation section, click on the template that you want to modify, and proceed to make all of the modifications, and then clicking on Save. You will then need to come back to the Alert Console and open up the template again for you to be able to execute the template. Now, for this training session, let's say that I don't really want to send the communication out to the group called All. To delete that broadcast group, I will click on the little X to the right of the name of the broadcast group. Now, to choose a different member to send it out to, I would begin to type in the name of the individual user, the name of the broadcast group, smart group, or escalation group, and I would get a drop-down list of all of those users, and I would be able to choose the one that I wish to use or to send this notification to. In this case, I'm going to be sending it to myself, so I will begin to type in my name like that. As you can see, there is my name. I click on it, and now I am the recipient of this specific test. Now, do remember that you are able to modify the subject line and the content, as well as any other markups that you might want to do to the content, such as bolding certain sections or italics or underlines or any of these other options that you have here before you send the notification out. After verifying that everything has been preset correctly, I will click on Send Select Notification. You can send a notification from a template with 1 or 2 clicks. Now let's proceed to click on Send Selected Notifications. As soon as you click on that, you are provided a new window, and you will get this notification that was shown here with success notification submitted successfully in a green balloon on the upper right corner. You can view the responses that they come in from the send notifications section located on the left. For more information on how to review the responses, please refer to training session number 1. As you can see, sending a communication from a template is a quick and easy process, and if everything has been preset correctly, you would be able to send it out with 1 or 2 clicks. Now let's take a look at the different groups that we have available for you in AlertFind. Groups are basically distribution lists that you can create and modify as you wish. We have 3 different types of distribution lists: broadcast groups, escalation groups, and smart groups. To create a new group, you would come on the user interface to the groups section here, and you would have the 3 different groups outlined for you here. Let's begin by taking a look at broadcast groups by clicking on broadcast groups under the groups section. Here you are displayed a list of all of the different distribution lists or broadcast groups that you have created for this particular environment. Now, broadcast groups are considered static lists. And by static, I mean that the list membership needs to be managed manually by the admin that is creating the actual distribution list, or updated whenever the API connector completes a call. Therefore, it is basically the same as any distribution list that you would create in Outlook or Gmail, where you give it a name and you add one by one the different email addresses of the people you want to include in that list. Once the list has been created, you can use the name of the list to populate the to field, and the system will send out the communication to all of the members of that specific list. AlertFind broadcast groups work in the same way. However, since adding 200 plus users to a static distribution list is a really time-consuming process, we have allowed all of our customers to choose whether or not they wish or want us to create those broadcast groups for them based on the roster import file at the moment of creating their instance. Based on the roster import file used to create this training instance, we went ahead and created all of the broadcast groups that you see in this list. Part of that process is seamless to you, and it involves creating specific backend programming scripts that would manage the memberships for you based on any modifications completed through the roster import or any modifications that are sent out through the connector, any API connector that you have created. What that means is that these broadcast groups that are created here do not follow the number static definition for a broadcast group. The members of these lists are basically managed by the import process, whether it's a roster import or an API call. Every time that a new sync happens, the backend programming that has been put in place would automatically move the members according to the information that you are providing in your system of record. So let's take a look at how to create a broadcast group and how to manage the members of a broadcast group from the user interface. First, let's take a look at the ones that have been created here by our backend programming. If we want to modify an existing broadcast group, all you would have to do is highlight the broadcast group that you want to modify and click on the edit button. In this case, we have highlighted the one called all. Edit button is found in the top left corner here. And here we are able to modify the group name, description, quick launch ID, and we also get a list of all the different teams that are a member of that specific group. Now, if you click on View Details, you will be able to check the details of this specific broadcast group, edit the group, and download a list of the members on an Excel file. Using the download button, you can download all of the different members of this group. You can also edit, the same as the edit button that we just saw. And you can also come to the second tab, which is called Group Membership, to take a look at the different members that are for this specific broadcast group that you have chosen. As you can see here, you would be able to modify the group name, the group description, and the quick launch ID Do remember that the Quick Launch ID is specifically used for executing communication from the hotline number and also accessing this particular broadcast group from the app. That, of course, is when you click on Edit Group. It is important that you do create a Quick Launch ID number every time you create a broadcast group. In this particular case, since this is a broadcast group that has been created by the backend programming, that rule does not take effect. Once you have made the edits to the general information, you would be able to click on Save. Now, if you want to manage the memberships, you would click into the name of the group or highlight the one that you want to see and click on the View Details, and then come to Group Membership located here next to the group details. Once you are in this section, you would be able to click on Manage Members here. And you would either be able to add or remove users that should no longer be a part of this particular broadcast group. If I want to delete a member from this broadcast group, I would come to the Group Membership section on the right and click on the minus sign to the right of the name, and that would delete the member from this particular broadcast group. Once you have completed your edits, you would click on Save here. As you can see, managing broadcast group is a completely manual process, and that is the reason why it is considered a static distribution list. Now let's go back to the groups section in the left in the UI and take a look at other options or other actions that you can perform on different groups. Another button is the update status. When clicking on update status, you can disable the group, and basically you won't be able to choose that group in the to field of the communication that you wish to send out. The next button that is available to you is the delete button. You can use this section to delete an existing group that you no longer want to use. The next button is show subteam. When you click on show subteam, it'll show all the broadcast groups on the current team or any subteam. With this button, show disabled, you can show all of the groups that have been disabled by clicking on this button, and you can also either compose a communication to a broadcast group here, or you can download a report that's specific for that broadcast group. Do remember, as mentioned before, that any broadcast group that was created based on the backend programming, when we created your instance, the membership will be managed by that process. And every time you complete a new roster import or a new API call, sync is completed, the membership of the broadcast group would automatically be updated based on the new information that you are providing. Now let's take a look at how to create a broadcast group here in the user interface. You would proceed to click on New, found in the top left corner of your screen. Now you have a new pop-up window where you will be able to provide the group name. In this case, let's go ahead and choose training test, and I'll add 10 just to make it unique. You can also provide a description. Again, the description is not a mandatory field, therefore you can leave it blank if you wish. Here, you can either provide an auto-generated unique ID by clicking on auto-generate, or you can type in the unique ID that you wish to use. Do remember that we do recommend that you always click on auto-generate so that the system can manage the unique IDs for you. Once you have completed all of those sections, you would click on Save. As soon as I click on Close, you can see the new broadcast group has been created and a new Quick Launch ID has been provided here. If you click on the Group Membership tab next to Group Details, you will be able to manage the membership by clicking on the Manage Membership button. Let's proceed to add some members. You can add members from individual users, broadcast groups, or smart groups that have already been created for you. For instance, if I want to do a nested broadcast group, I would be able to add any of these broadcast groups or smart groups that have been previously created. We can add members to this new broadcast group by selecting the user you want to add from the list on the left and clicking on the green plus arrow located at the end of the row of each user. And then you will see the user added to the group membership list on the right. In this case, let's say that I want to add myself. I would find my name and click on the plus sign to the right, and they would be added here as a group member. In this way, you are able to add the different members to the newly created distribution list. Now let's take a look at how to add a broadcast group that has already been created. You would change the tab to broadcast group. You would have the list of all different broadcast groups that are available to you in your instance, and you would choose the one that you wish to use, and then proceed to click on the green plus arrow to the right of the name, and they would be added as part of the members of the broadcast group that you're currently created. You would follow the exactly same process for smart groups. Now, once I have made all of the modifications that I wish to the membership, I will proceed to click on Save. And now I will be able to see that the distribution list has in fact been created. There it is, training test number 10. If I click on group details, I can see that the source is the UI, and the status is enabled. Therefore, this broadcast group is ready to be used. It is important to note that the source says UI, which means that the UI is the owner of the data, and anytime you wish to modify this broadcast group, you would have to go through the manual process that we just went through to add a member, but in that case, you would either be adding or deleting based on what the requirements are. Now let's take a look at smart groups. Smart groups are dynamic lists, and by dynamic, I mean that the membership is managed by the alert find system based on criteria that you specifically set. Those criteria are generated using the custom fields that you have created when we created your instance. When you choose or switch from broadcast group to escalation groups or smart group, you will notice that the buttons on the top navigation bar remain the same, such as view details, edit, update status, delete, show subteams, show disabled, compose to, or download report. For each type of group, you will find the same features that you did for the broadcast groups that we have already explained, and everything will be followed exactly in the same way. To create a smart group, you would click on Smart Group on the left menu bar here and click on New. Once you click on the New button, you would give the smart group a name. In this case, let's choose Location Panama, and I'll add a 10 just to make sure that it is a unique name. You can also proceed to add a description. Again, the description is not a mandatory field, but we will proceed to add a description that allows me to identify the broadcast group easier from the list. Now we are ready to set the criteria by clicking on the Edit Criteria button here. On this new pop-up window, let's click on New. Now you will see a list of all different custom fields that have been created for your instance. and we can choose which custom field you wish to base the distribution list on. First, you would come over to the field name. For this training, we will use location. When you click on the drop-down menu, you have an option of all the different custom fields, and I will choose location for this particular test. Now, for the operator, there are different operators that you can use. Equals, start with, contains, does not contains, ends with, does not equal, and end list. For this particular case, we'll go ahead and choose equals. And for the value, do remember that the value needs to be filled out with, if you're using equals as the operator, with exactly the same value that you have in the roster import file or the system of record. And in this case, since you are using equals, it is case sensitive. For this training, I am going to go ahead and put in Panama. Once you have filled out all of these different fields, you would click on Save. The system will automatically search through all of your user base, and it will display any names that meet the criteria that you created. In this case, the people that have been assigned to the Panama office, myself and Madeline. Now, if I go back to modify the criteria and put in a Panama with a lowercase p, you will see that there are no users found. To edit the criteria, we would come over here, click on Edit Criteria, and now you are able to edit the criteria. So if I put in a lowercase p, as I mentioned before, you will see that no users are found because it is case sensitive due to the fact that we chose equals as the operator. The distribution list is considered dynamic because members are chosen by the system based on the criteria used. The membership of this particular smart group automatically populates and will change as soon as a new roster file is imported into the system or a new API call happens. The system goes through all of your user base, determines which users fit the specific criteria that you have set, and then populates those members automatically. As an example, let's say that Madeline moves from the Panama office to the Romania office in the future. As soon as that change is completed in AlertFind, either through a roster import or through the API call, then the system will automatically determine that this criteria is no longer met because the location is now Romania, and it would automatically remove Madeline from the smart group called Panama and add him to the one called Romania. To complete the smart group creation process, you would click on Save. You can create more than one criteria per smart group. Let's say that I want to make sure that I sent out the communication to not only the Panama office, but also to a department in Panama. You can create a second criteria that would take that into account. It is important that when you create more than one criteria, you remember that the operator will always be AND. There is no way for you to choose a different operator between one criteria and the other. When you are ready to create a second criteria, you would follow the same process as the one that we created for the first one. You would click on New, choose which custom field you would like to base the criteria on, choose your operator, choose your value, and click on Save. Once you have the right criteria in place, you would click on Save and then click on Save again for the smart group to be completely created. As you can see, it is right there. If you want to modify a smart group that already exists, you would need to search for the name of the smart group to be modified and either double click into the name or highlight it and click on Edit. And you would have the ability to edit or make any modifications that you wish. Now, the third type of distribution list that you can create is called an escalation group. Escalation groups are used for a specific use case, usually involving a first responder situation where you create a list of usernames and the system will send the communication out to the first person in the list. If this person does not respond in a certain amount of time, the communication will go to the next one in the list, and so on and so forth until somebody responds. Then the communication would stop. Let's take a look at how to create an escalation group. You would click on New on the upper right side of the screen. Proceed to provide a group name. Fill out the description field and add a unique ID. And again, here you can also check the auto-generate unique ID to make sure that the system generates those IDs for you. Let's proceed to provide it a name. In this case, we're going to call it training test, and we'll say 20. We'll click on auto-generate unique ID and click on Save. Once we have the escalation group created, we're able to click on Manage Members by clicking on the Group Membership tab here, and then click on Manage Members to add the members that we want to be a part of this particular escalation group. You will be able to proceed to add different users that we want to be a part of this particular escalation group. Note that you can add individual users, broadcast groups, escalation groups, or smart groups that you have created. In this way, you are able to create nested distribution lists. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and add myself, and I will add Claire and David and John. Now on the right, we have the ordered lists, and you can move the different members up and down the list using the arrows found to the right of the name of each individual. This will provide us the order in which the system will reach out to all the different individuals. If I want the communication to be sent out to John first, I would highlight John's and click on the up arrow until he is on the first slot, like this. You can also place him further down by clicking on the down arrow. Next step would be to add the delays by clicking on the Add Delays button under the group members, found here. You would need to enter how many minutes you would like the delay to be. By default, it is 5 minutes, but you can definitely modify the amount of minutes that you want within each delay. It can be as small as 1 minute or as many minutes as the situation will require. In this case, let's go ahead and put 10. Once you have the delay correct, you would click on Save. Let's proceed to add more delays. Do remember that you can add as many as is required for the specific escalation process that you are trying to set. Now I'm going to specifically move the delays up and down to where I want them to be. When you execute the communication to this specific escalation group, the communication will first be sent to Abdiel, and it will wait for the system will then wait for 10 minutes. If Abdiel does not reply within those 10 minutes, then the system will send the communication to John and wait another further minutes. If either Abdiel or John replies within those extra 10 minutes, the communication would stop. If no one replies, it would be sent to David, and it would wait for another 10 minutes, and if no one replies again, then it would be sent to Claire. In order for the escalation group to run as designed, the notification response must have the response limit turned on with a specific number of people that can respond. An example where escalation groups have been used is in a hospital emergency room. They would create a smart group with each one of the different shifts for the emergency room personnel. They would have shift 1, shift 2, shift 3, etc. Now, all those shifts are managed based on the information provided through the scheduled API calls from their system of record. For instance, if there is a major car accident and the hospital would execute a communication to the escalation group, letting them know that a major car accident has taken place and there will be an increase of patients who will need to be taken care of in the emergency room. And they are requesting additional staff to come into work. This communication will be sent out to the first shift. It would then wait for a short while and get sent out to the second shift, and on until one of those shifts responds that they are on their way to the emergency room. If you need any assistance to go through the specific use cases that you are going to implement in your company and see which of these distribution lists would best benefit you, please contact your assigned customer success manager, and they would be able to help you to determine which type of distribution list you need to create for each scenario that you will be using AlertFind for. Once you have added all the different members and you've added the delays, you would click on Save. And your escalation group has been created for you. As you can see here, training test 20. So to recap, in today's training session, we have learned how to create and manage templates, how to execute templates from the Alert Console, and the different types of distribution lists that you can create in AlertFind. If you have any questions or concerns regarding these topics, please do not hesitate to contact your customer success manager for guidance. Thank you very much for watching this video, and we will see you on our next training session. Have a great day.